Imagine opening your eyes one morning and sensing, without knowing why, that something about your life is not what it seems. Nothing has changed on the surface. The same room, the same ceiling, the same familiar weight of your thoughts. And yet, underneath all of it, something feels off, as if a truth you've ignored is quietly rising, demanding to be acknowledged. It is a feeling you try to dismiss, but it lingers, a subtle pressure in the mind, like a whisper pushing through static. This is where every journey into deeper consciousness begins. Not with clarity, but with disturbance. A slight fracture in the illusion of certainty. Huxley believed that this disturbance is not a problem. It is an invitation. He argued that human beings spend most of their lives navigating a world they never fully examine, following beliefs they never chose, obeying habits they never questioned, and the moment you begin to sense the cracks in your reality, the moment you feel the faint discomfort that something is missing, something is misaligned, that is the moment the mind is closest to awakening. Most people never reach this moment. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they are too busy, too distracted, too overwhelmed by the demands of modern life. The world encourages speed, noise, and stimulation, but almost never reflection. People scroll, react, consume, repeat, day after day, year after year, and slowly, without noticing, they drift further from themselves. The mind becomes filled, but the self becomes hollow. Huxley saw this coming long before it happened. He warned that a society drowning in noise would not need oppression to keep people asleep. Distraction itself would be enough. And when distraction controls your attention, it controls your thoughts. When your thoughts are influenced, your emotions follow. And when your emotions are shaped, your sense of identity becomes malleable, reactive, conditioned. Think about your own life. When did you last sit alone in silence? Not scrolling, not multitasking, not absorbing any information, just listening to your own mind. Most people avoid silence because silence reveals things they have spent years avoiding: old wounds, unanswered questions, unprocessed emotions. Silence exposes the truth behind the noise, and for many, that truth is uncomfortable. But discomfort is not the enemy. It is the doorway. When you begin examining your thoughts with honesty, something extraordinary happens. You realize how many of your beliefs were never truly yours. The idea that you must always be strong. The belief that vulnerability is weakness. The need for approval. The story that you're not enough. Where did these come from? A parent? A moment of embarrassment in childhood? A society obsessed with perfection. Look closely, and you'll see that your fears have fingerprints. They were placed inside you. And what was placed inside you can be removed, understood, or rewritten. Huxley's most radical idea was this: most suffering is not caused by life itself, but by the interpretations the mind attaches to life. The event ends, but the story continues. The moment passes, but its shadow stays. And over time, those shadows become identity. I am anxious. I am broken. I am unlucky. People always leave. These are not facts. They are conclusions. And conclusions can be challenged. The human mind is a storyteller. It fills gaps with assumptions. It protects itself with predictions. It invents patterns even when none exist. This is how the mind keeps you safe, but it is also how it traps you. It warns you of dangers that aren't real. It reminds you of memories you no longer need. It convinces you that the past will repeat itself, even when you have changed. Imagine how differently you might live if you stopped believing every thought your mind produces. Imagine seeing a fear rise and not obeying it. Imagine hearing an insecurity whisper and not collapsing beneath it. Imagine noticing the old patterns activate and choosing a new response. This is what awakening looks like, not enlightenment, not perfection. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. When you can observe your thoughts instead of becoming them, your world expands. You slowly discover that you are not your patterns, not your fears, not your wounds. You are the consciousness aware of those things. Huxley believed that the mind is not a transparent window, but a filter, a reducing valve that compresses reality into something the brain can handle. But what happens when the reducing valve narrows too much? When trauma, fear, social conditioning, and constant distraction distort perception. You begin to live inside a limited version of the world, and a limited version of yourself. People suffer not because life is unkind, but because their perception of life is too small. They interpret challenges as failures. They interpret rejection as evidence of unworthiness. They interpret uncertainty as danger. But these interpretations are not objective. They are learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. The mind holds on to pain because pain demands attention. The mind clings to fear because fear feels protective. The mind repeats old stories because they feel familiar. There is a version of you beneath all the conditioning. A version unshaped by fear, untouched by insecurity, unburdened by the past. You may not see this version often, but you feel glimpses of it. In moments of clarity, in moments of courage, in moments when you act from intuition instead of fear. Huxley believed this deeper self is the true self, and all psychological suffering stems from losing connection to it. Awakening is the process of returning to that self, but awakening is not comfortable. It requires confronting the parts of your mind that you've ignored. The resentment, the envy, the fear of not being loved, the guilt you never speak about, the shame you pretend not to feel. These emotions linger in the shadows, shaping your choices silently, and until you confront them, they rule you. Most people avoid their inner world because they fear what they'll find. But the truth is, what you avoid owns you. What you face frees you. The emotions you fear are not enemies. They are signals. They carry information. They reveal the wounds that need healing. And once you understand them, they lose their power. Look at your life from above for a moment. Imagine seeing your patterns as if they were a map. You would notice the loops, the repeated reactions, the familiar mistakes, the predictable fears. These loops are not destiny. They are unexamined conditioning, and conditioning is not permanent. You can unlearn a fear. You can rewrite a narrative. You can dissolve an identity. You can expand your perception. You can change the trajectory of your life by changing the lens through which you see it. This is not wishful thinking. It is psychological fact. Human consciousness is flexible. It adapts. It grows. It expands. The moment you become aware of a pattern is the moment you stop being controlled by it. Awareness is the light that dissolves unconsciousness. And once the unconscious becomes conscious, it becomes manageable, understandable, transformable. Awakening is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aware. It is about replacing reactivity with understanding, fear with curiosity, numbness with presence. It is about reclaiming your mind from the noise that has shaped it for years. It is about seeing yourself with honesty, compassion, and courage. And when you live from this place, everything changes. Your relationships deepen because you no longer react from old wounds. Your fears shrink because you understand their origins. Your decisions become intentional. Your emotions become meaningful instead of overwhelming. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing silence. You stop running from yourself. You begin to live, truly live, instead of merely existing. Huxley believed that the ultimate purpose of human life is to expand consciousness, not to accumulate possessions, not to chase status, not to perform for others, but to see clearly, to understand deeply, to awaken to the truth of who you really are. A person who sees clearly lives differently. They notice beauty in small moments. They remain calm in uncertainty. They handle conflict with grace. They respond instead of reacting. They feel emotions without being consumed by them. They become creators of their reality, not victims of their conditioning. And so, the message at the heart of Huxley's philosophy is simple, yet profoundly transformative. Your life expands in proportion to your awareness. The clearer you see yourself, the freer you become. The more you understand your inner world, the less you are controlled by it. You are not the story you inherited. You are not the fears you absorbed. You are not the identity you constructed to survive. You are the consciousness capable of rewriting all of it. Life does not happen to you, it happens through you. And the world you see today is only a fraction of what becomes possible when you awaken.